Hello everyone, and welcome to this pro tip in Photoshop. I know for some of you, you're like, what? You're not an illustrator? Hey, no, today we are in Photoshop, and I am so happy to be here with you. I'm already seeing some comments in the chat, so let's say hi to Keys, Frank, Oliver, Jess, Robert, Idara. It's so nice to see you here. If you don't know me, I'm Izzy. I'm a brand designer from Ottawa, Canada. And today we will be exploring pat blurs in Photoshop. And as most of you know, I'm very much of a designer and not necessarily a photographer. So the way that I'm going to approach the pat blurs today is very much of a design approach, but you can do so much cool stuff in Photoshop. So without further ado, let's hop into Photoshop and feel free to ask your questions. So this is what I would like us to achieve today. So as you can see, this is a nice poster. And if you know me again, you know that I love a good poster challenge. I love posters for personal work as well. And using the pat blur, let me just zoom in a little bit. You can see that we can create some very cool effect here. So let's start. I'm seeing Jackson and Patrick, so good to see you. All right, so here I have a portrait and I wanted to recreate this effect with you, but using a different image just because I wanted you to have a different outcome at the end and keep you on your toes. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is just adjust the brightness a little bit because this photo is a little dark for my taste. And again, as I said, I'm approaching this tip with very much of a design approach. And I really want to make sure that the pad blur, and we're also going to add a noise to it, shows. So that this is why I really want to have high contrast. Another thing that I would like to try is, the saturation, the hues, I feel like changing the hues a little bit just to see. I actually like this a lot, but now I'm seeing some distortion in the back here. So I'm just going to readjust the contrast. So I'm just double clicking on this layer here. I'm just going to slide down on this contrast. It's still appearing a little pixely. I don't know if this is a term, but I mean, it's gonna work with what we are trying to do. And then for now, I am going to unlock the background. So the last image, going to copy it. So we always have a copy of the original at the end of our layers. And you'll see why this is very important just in a few minutes. And I'm going to group all this, just holding my command key, clicking on the folder icon, and I'll say how can I call this? Unlayered. Is unlayered a term? I'm not sure. Please let me know. And Keys, I see you saying, commenting on my golden tone in my photo. Well, I mean, it's summer, so why not have a summer glow? And you are absolutely right. This is the kind of the vibe that I'm going here, changing the hues from pink to a orangey tone with the lighting of this photo. So I'll call it here unlayered adjustments. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to merge. So merge, visible right here. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to merge the layers that are selected. Perfect. So I'm just going to uncheck this group here. So this is essentially if I wanted to go back and readjust the photo, then I would have again like the version before, and I know exactly what I have done with the adjustments. So now I want to create this fun effect that we saw right here. So I'm going to use the rectangle tool, which is on the left hand side, as you can see here. I'm going to hold my shift key and just draw a square for now. As you can see, the properties menu will appear automatically and you will have a color and a stroke. Now the stroke may not be there. That's because I was using a white stroke before, but you can definitely see a fill color, and I want to keep it that way for now because the goal here is to kind of figure out like the shape and how I want to place those shapes on top of my photo. So here I'm going to use the Option key or Alt and slide and just add some shapes and kind of create like a fun shape, I guess, or that's not organic, but just a fun composition, I guess that we can call it. And Jess is saying it's a stunning photo, loving the reflection. I do too. And I hope that it's gonna look good with the path blur and noise that we will be working together. Okay, so let's see how this looks. I'm just going to quickly just select all of my squares and move it around just to see kind of where I want to position them. Kind of like this, but then I also want to alter a few of them. So I want this one. I'm going to do Command T. I'm going to hold my shift key so I don't keep the like proportions that we already have, and just elongate that rectangle to the bottom like that. And I want to make sure that my stroke here makes sense. See, it's not fully aligned. So I already have my rulers on. If you want to show the rulers, you can do Command R like so, and they will appear or disappear. And for this, I just want to make sure that I follow a straight line, which I'm just going to go closer and then adjust my rectangle right here. So then when we go back, are we happy with this? Let me delete this line. And I feel like we need another shape that is not a square just for the balance of the creation. Let me think about this one. How about I do this one right here that's just kind of peeping out like so. Okay, I am pretty happy with this. Let me just, again, move it around to see how it looks. Feel like maybe we should remove this one, or it should just be floating. There you go. Okay, so I'm very happy with this. So now that we have the composition and we know what we want, if you are also unsure and you can't necessarily see what it's going to look like, another thing that you can do is select all of your rectangles layers and play with the opacity like so, so then you see what's underneath. Because when we are using the pad blur, obviously it is going to blur everything out. And you want to kind of choose ahead of time where you're doing that blurriness if you want. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm inventing terms today, which is all good as long as you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, so now what I want to do is copy this layer where we have merged all of our adjustments with the saturation and the brightness and contrast. Obviously, you don't have to do this. This is just because I wanted to adjust and make that photo mine. I did take this photo from a free copyright site. So I'm going to duplicate this, or if you want to do this faster, you can also do Command J. I always mix up the J and the G. Or just slide it down with the plus right here. All right. And now what I want to do is bring it at the top and making sure that it's over a rectangle, because I'm going to do a clipping mask. So how you do this is you can hold the Control button and then slide down that menu and create a clipping mask. And as you can see right here, the inside color of the rectangle has now gone. And this is where you can apply your filter. So if you go here to your filter, you can go to the blur gallery. You can try the blur, like the blur will do like, it will blur however you want, and you probably have played within this gallery of filters before. But what I do like about the pad blur and what is going to make it interesting for this poster is that you can actually select the path, so the direction of where the blurriness is coming from. And by having multiple rectangle, we are going to repeat that effect, but with different directions in the rectangles. Because you might have said, Izzy, why don't you just create one big shape, merge everything down like you did before, and just have one pad blur, which you definitely could. But I wanted to be just a little bit extra because it is Wednesday and why not? So here, as you can see, I guess I should have selected a better color because you can't see much the arrow, but you can see that the arrow is going from left to right. And what I want to do, and it's going to change the direction of that blur right here, I'm going to point it up. And as you can see, as I'm, changing it, it's changing the direction. It's just updating right now of that movement. I can say here, there is a blur tool menu, and another cool thing that you can do here is adjusting the speed. So by adjusting the speed, it can get extremely blurry or less blurry. So right now it's just updating. Let me just hit cancel for now, and I'm going to redo this again. So filter, blur gallery, pad blur. I have my arrow. I'm just going to point it up like so, and then adjust the speed right here. So see, as you can see, this is changing the blurriness of the section that we have selected. So I'm going to put a noise filter on that. First of all, I need to press OK. I always am a step too early for this. Clicking back again on the filter gallery and add noise. So you probably have seen this here. This is a lot of noise. So let me just bring this down a little bit. And I love that we have that preview. I think I want something that's rather fine, like so. What do you think? Do you like this? Idara is saying, love this. Thank you, Idara. Idara is so awesome. Watch her streams. They are great. Always a good place for inspiration. Okay, so now it may seem a little repetitive. I'm going to go very quickly here, but I'm going to repeat this, but adding different directions and obviously the filter again on top. But if you need a repeater, this is your chance to look at it. So here we have already made a lot of layers. So I'm going to bring it back again on top of the next rectangle. I'm going to do a clipping mask again. As you can see, it is this one. I definitely chose my view for this one. So here again, going to blur gallery and pad blur. And just going to unzoom. So as you can see, again, this is a straight line. So I'm going to go down with the direction. Oh, here I can actually connect. Let me go back. Let me cancel. It's doing funky things right now. Hold on. Is it because I'm streaming? Probably. I can hear my computer, my fan, going strong at the moment. Please bear with me. There you go. Going to do that again. Maybe if I just go back like so. Pad blur, then bringing this down like so. There you go. Adjust the speed, doing a fast speed, clicking OK. Adding the noise, and because the noise now, like we are happy with our previous selection, it's gonna go a lot faster. Now, you may be asking, Izzy, can I move this around if I'm not happy with the rectangle? So be very careful with this, because if you select the layer on top here, the clipping mask, and I'm going to move it, see, it's going to move that section like so. So you don't necessarily want that unless this is the effect that you're trying to recreate. So let me go back. If you wanted to select, like to move the rectangle or square itself, you can select the rectangle, do Command T, and then you can move it around. So it's important to be very intentional about the picture that you select, because depending on the subject at the back, like see if I bring it here within the background, and we're not necessarily seeing this effect, but when we bring it like right, let's say right here on the face, then it becomes very apparent. So you want something that has a lot of details in order to do this. So again, going to do this quickly, clipping mask, filter. And you may have noticed that I personally like to use the same effect on like different places in my design, because I do like to create a consistency whenever it comes to composing an image or design or whatsoever. So I did it again. So what you have to be careful here, and I'm happy that this happened. Let me just click cancel. It's very not happy with me. So in the meantime, while it's updating, Jess is saying, stunning, such a sophisticated way for a little extra for sure. Absolutely. I mean, again, this is a way, like if you were given, like let's say an image and you had to do a poster or a design with it, could be even social media, could be something cool for a story where you want something that has a lot of impact to, you know, create that wow factor and adding a lot of like structure, because then it becomes fun to add text on top, because you have those straight lines and then you can kind of play with the composition. So like I said, this is not necessarily like, maybe the photo editors will be like, oh, okay, well, I don't know when I'm going to use this, but if you were to do a composition or you're more of a designer, then this might be super fun for you. Okay, let me click OK, just see what happens. There you go. Okay, so again, going to do the same thing with the clipping mask. And Jess is saying, the squares and rectangles are very elegant and calm. I wonder if circles would be too chaotic. I think it depends. Maybe circles would like overlay, a lot of circles can be chaotic, and it also depends on like the look that you are trying to achieve and the message, right? So it's like choosing the right font for your brand or for a campaign or whatsoever. So you want to make sure that you make conscious decisions, because depending on those visual cues, I personally call it like that, there will be an undertone of what it means. So this is why it's important to understand like the principles of design and just, you know, staying curious about it, read books, being on Adobe Live, watch a lot of different types of designers with different styles is also very important. So, because this is how you can kind of create your own little magic style for yourself. And at some point, your clients, even if you work in-house, will come to you for that style, and you will be known for this, which is super fun and the ultimate goal really of what you want. Again, clipping mask. So what I was doing wrong and why it was kind of freaking out on me a little bit is I was not clicking from the arrow that was already suggested from the paddler, which I will do again. And I was starting, like I was clicking elsewhere. So you really want to make sure that you start from this anchor right here and then bring it to where you want to bring it. And about the default color, no, actually. So this is within your rectangle, the properties will show up. So it was a default color because this is the color that I had used previously. If not, I think it's going to be black or white. I'm not 100% sure, but we will actually play with that soon the stroke anyway, but I'm gonna show you how you can have a fill color with the rectangle. I just want to do another noise right here. So bear with me. I have 2 more rectangles to do here with the clipping mask. Filter. And this is fun because it's the eye, so we really want to make sure that it's going in a different direction. Let's bring it the other way, maybe down. When both of the squares are touching, you really want to make sure that they're not going in the same direction, because this will give you the effect that you want, that it's going in multiple direction, and like you'll kind of create this air of mystery. Like as you can see, this is maybe a little too speedy here, but basically like the effect that you're trying to achieve. So let's click OK right here. Then add the noise again. Okay, and then last one, and then we can add the text, which is always my favorite part. And we have not a lot of time left, but we will do this. So here, clipping mask. Oh, this is cool actually. It's not, oh, this is a happy accident actually, because right now I don't have the image that I have altered. I have the original that it's seeing, because this here is not previewing. So I actually like this happy accident. What do you think, chat? Let me know what you think. This is super fun. This type of happy accidents like this happens to me all the time when I design, and I kid you not, I think sometimes I'm the luckiest person for stuff like that, because then I'm like, oh, this is interesting, and it's something that I didn't like necessarily think about. So I'm happy that we were able to catch this live like right now, all together. Oh my goodness, how fun. Okay, so now we have our pad blur that is put like in every rectangle. Now again, I have to be a bit due diligent here, and I want to select the rectangle layers only, like so. And I want to go to the rectangle. Let me double click. I want to have my properties. So actually, let me just pull this, then select the rectangles again. There you go. So as you can see here in my properties, there is the fill color, but if you double click here, you can choose whatever color you want. So if it helps on composition to have different colors when you're predetermined where you're putting your squares, like this will work. But here, I just want to make sure that all my strokes are the same, and I'm going to put it at 5 point, and that my stroke is white, and then just clicking enter, and then we're good. Perfect. Okay, so this here would be the final result. So now I want to add some fun type on it, because I'm just going to put it on top here. Oops, it created a clipping mask. There you go. So I want to say off the grid. This is definitely not the font and the color that I want it to be. I'm just going to put that, make that bigger, and I'm going to choose a thick serif, sans serif font. So here, there you go. I like this here, off the grid, and I forgot to change the color. I'm gonna do it white, and being mindful of the time. We are out of time. Oh no, let me just do this quickly here. Then I would do it like so, off within the box here. I'm going to finish this and add it to my Instagram if you want to see the final result, because my goal was to bring it to a mock-up. And I have, you know, this was an example of how you can move this, like as I showed you previously. But here is the final result, and here is what it looks like within a mock-up. Have fun with mock-ups. They bring your designs to life like crazy. So, oh my goodness, we are very much out of time. It was such a pleasure to design in Photoshop with all of you. Hopefully we'll get to see you soon. There's tons of cool content that is happening today, so make sure to stay tuned. Bye everyone. Take care.